What if the tiny Roosevelt dime sitting in your pocket right now is secretly worth thousands of dollars in this video? We're revealing the rare Roosevelt dimes collectors are desperately hunting for, and one of them could change your life. Yes, this video contains some information that can change your life because there are many examples that you will truly believe after knowing. There are several examples of Roosevelt dimes that have sold for significant amounts of money, primarily due to minting errors or extreme rarity in high-grade condition. The most famous example is the 1975 no-S-proof Roosevelt dime, with specimens selling for over $500,000. There are some important distinctions about Roosevelt dimes. The extremely valuable no-S dimes are proof coins from special sets, not coins found in regular pocket change. And a 1975 dime found in regular circulation with no mint mark is worth 10 cents. A 1975 no-S-proof dime is worth a fortune. The difference is the quality of the strike is mirror-like surfaced. In 2019, the 1975 nose-proof Roosevelt dime sold for $456,000, and in October 2024, another 1975 nose-proof Roosevelt dime, often referred to as the Ohio Discovery, sold for $506,250. So watch the video carefully till the end. In the video, you will be told about all the coins one by one, and from the information given about each coin, you will be able to guess which coin can be sold for a good price. Imagine discovering that a tiny, seemingly insignificant coin sitting quietly in your pocket or buried deep inside an old forgotten jar could secretly hold a story of history, mystery, rarity, and shocking hidden value that most people overlook every single day. This is not just any coin. This is the 1974 Roosevelt dime, a coin that millions have touched, spent, ignored, and forgotten. Yet within that ocean of ordinary lies a handful of extraordinary pieces that have stunned collectors, sparked bidding wars at auctions, and turned simple pocket change into surprising treasure. Now picture the world in 1924, a time of economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and constant demand for coinage. The United States Mint was working relentlessly, producing hundreds of millions of dimes across its major facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each coin stamped with precision. Yet not every coin came out perfect, and not every coin lived an ordinary life, and that is exactly where the excitement begins, because hidden among these countless dimes are rare variations, mint errors, and pristine high-grade examples that today can command prices far beyond their modest 10-cent face value. And what makes this even more thrilling is the fact that many of these valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Roosevelt dime itself carries deep historical significance, bearing the image of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a leader whose legacy shaped modern America and whose influence extended far beyond his presidency. Introduced in 1946, shortly after his passing, the coin replaced the beloved Mercury dime and quickly became a symbol of resilience, progress, and national pride. By the time of 1974 arrived, the design had become so familiar that most people barely noticed it anymore. Yet collectors understood that within this familiarity lay endless possibilities, because every year, every mint, and every strike could produce subtle differences that might transform an ordinary coin into a rare collectible masterpiece. And this is precisely why the 1974 issue has captured the attention of collectors who are always searching for that one coin that stands out from the rest. Now let us dive deeper into the numbers, because this is where the ordinary begins to transform into the extraordinary. The Philadelphia Mint struck a massive number of dimes in 1974, and these coins carry no mint mark, making them appear plain and common at first glance. The Denver Mint added its signature, small d, mint mark, producing another enormous batch, while the San Francisco Mint created proof coins specifically for collectors, featuring sharper details and a mere finish that immediately sets them apart from regular circulation strikes. And while these production numbers might suggest that the 1974 dime is nothing special, the truth is far more exciting, because rarity is not always about how many coins were made. It is about how many survived in exceptional condition, how many contain unique errors, and how many possess qualities that make collectors stop in their tracks and say, this is something truly special. One of the most thrilling aspects of collecting 1974 Roosevelt dimes lies in the hunt for mint errors, because these are the coins that break the rules and rewrite expectations. Imagine holding a coin where the design appears doubled, as if the image was struck twice, slightly offset, creating a ghost-like duplication that instantly grabs attention, or discovering an off-center strike where the coin's design is dramatically shifted, leaving a blank crescent of metal that tells the story of mechanical mishap at the mint. These are not just mistakes, they are rare accidents, frozen in time, each one unique, each one highly sought after by collectors who understand their significance, and in some cases, These era coins have fetched astonishing prices at auctions, turning what was once a simple production flaw into a prized collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But the excitement does not stop there, because the world of proof coins adds another layer of intrigue and value. The 1974 proof dimes produced in San Francisco were never intended for everyday use. They were carefully crafted for collectors using specially polished dies and planchets, resulting in coins with stunning visual appeal, deep mirror fields, and frosted design elements that create a striking contrast known as cameo or even deep cameo when the effect is especially pronounced. These proof coins were originally sold in sets. Yet over time, some have been removed, mishandled, or lost, while others have been preserved in pristine condition and graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. These top-tier examples can command impressive premiums, especially when they exhibit flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal, making them highly desirable among serious collectors. Auctions play a crucial role in determining the true value of a 1974 Roosevelt dime, because this is where collectors from around the world come together to compete for the finest examples, and the results can be nothing short of shocking. Coins that once circulated unnoticed can suddenly become the center of attention, drawing intense bidding activity and achieving prices that far exceed expectations, especially when the coin is in mint state condition, with sharp details, brilliant luster, and no signs of wear, or when it features a rare and dramatic error that sets it apart from anything else on the market. These moments of discovery and competition are what make coin collecting so thrilling, because they prove that value. It is not fixed, it is dynamic, driven by demand, rarity, and the passion of collectors who are always searching for something. Extraordinary collectors themselves are at the heart of this fascinating world, each one bringing their own perspective, strategy, and dedication to the pursuit of rare coins. Some focus exclusively on Roosevelt dimes, building complete sets that span decades while striving to find the highest quality examples for each year and mint mark. Others specialize in era coins, seeking out the most unusual and visually striking pieces that tell unique stories of production anomalies. And then there are those who chase perfection, hunting for coins graded at the very top of the scale, where even the smallest imperfection can mean the difference between a good coin and a truly exceptional one. And regardless of their approach, all collectors share a common passion: the thrill of discovery, the excitement of the hunt, and the possibility that the next coin they examine could be the one that changes everything. Condition is one of the most critical factors in determining the value of any coin, including the 1974 Roosevelt dime coins, are graded on a scale that ranges from heavily worn examples with little detail remaining to pristine mint state coins that look as if they were struck yesterday and never touched by human hands. A coin in mint state condition, especially at the highest grades, can be worth significantly more than one that has spent decades in circulation, accumulating scratches, marks, and wear. And this is why collectors take great care to handle and store their coins properly, using protective holders, controlled environments, and specialized techniques to preserve their condition and maintain their value over time, because once a coin is damaged, its value can be permanently affected. Now imagine the incredible journey of a single 1974 dime. From the moment it was created at the mint, it begins as a blank metal disc known as a planchet, which is then struck under immense pressure by engraved dies, transforming it into a coin with intricate details and precise design. From there, it enters circulation, passing through countless hands and transactions, each one adding to its history. It might be used to buy a cup of coffee, dropped on the street, picked up by a passerby, saved in a jar, or forgotten in a drawer for years or even decades, until one day it is rediscovered and examined more closely. And that is when the magic can happen, because what once seemed ordinary can suddenly reveal itself to be something rare and valuable, a hidden gem waiting to be recognized. The key to unlocking this potential lies in knowledge and attention to detail, because not all valuable coins are immediately obvious. Some require careful inspection and an understanding of what to look for. Subtle differences in mint marks, slight variations in design, unusual textures, or striking anomalies can all be indicators of a coin's uniqueness and value. And this is why experienced collectors spend countless hours studying coins, learning about their history, and refining their ability to identify rare and valuable pieces, because in this world, knowledge truly is power, and it can make the difference between overlooking a valuable coin and recognizing it for what it truly is. And here is the most exciting part of all: the possibility that valuable 1974 Roosevelt dimes are still out there waiting to be found. They could be hidden in plain sight, mixed in with ordinary change, sitting in old collections, or tucked away in forgotten corners of homes and businesses. And every time you come across a dime, you have the opportunity to take a closer look, to examine its details, and to ask yourself, could this be one of those rare and valuable pieces that collectors dream about? Because the truth is that Discoveries like this happen more often than you might think, and the thrill of finding a hidden treasure is something that keeps collectors coming back, again and again, driven by the hope that the next coin they encounter could be the one that changes everything forever. So as you continue your journey into the fascinating world of coin collecting, remember that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. And the 1904 Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how history, rarity, and value can come together in unexpected ways. Coin collectors and numismatic treasure hunters, and today we are diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping and mind-blowing stories in the entire history of American coinage, because what we are talking about today is the 1975 Roosevelt dime, a coin that on the surface looks like nothing more than a simple 10-cent piece sitting in your pocket change, but underneath that deceptively ordinary exterior hides a secret so staggering, so breathtakingly rare, that it has sent shockwaves through the entire coin collecting community and driven serious collectors absolutely wild with excitement, because here is the truth that most people simply do not know, and that is the fact that the 1975 Roosevelt dime exists in a form so rare that it has become the stuff of legend in the numismatic world, and we are going to break down every single explosive detail for you right now. So buckle up, because this is going to be one incredible ride through history, rarity, and auction results that will leave you absolutely stunned, and the story begins right at the heart of the United States Mint itself, where the Roosevelt dime has been produced since 1946, honoring President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was struck down by polio and whose face was chosen for the dime by the Treasury Department just months after his death in 1945, and since that year, the Roosevelt dime has been minted in enormous quantities at facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with billions of these coins rolling out of the presses and flooding into American commerce every single year. So you would think that a 1975 Roosevelt dime would be about as common and unremarkable as a coin can possibly get, and for the vast majority of 1975 dimes, that is absolutely true, because in 1975, the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 220 million dimes, and the Denver Mint added another 330 million dimes to the supply, making the 1975 Roosevelt dime one of the most heavily produced coins of that entire era, and a coin that you can find in pocket change to this day for face value. But here is where the story takes the most stunning and electrifying turn imaginable, because buried within that ocean of ordinary 1975 dimes, there exists a variant so shockingly rare, so utterly mind-bending in its scarcity, that most collectors will live their entire lives without ever encountering one. And we are talking about the 19 no-S-proof Roosevelt dime, which is without any question one of the rarest and most coveted coins ever produced by the United States Mint in the entire 20th century. And to understand just how earth-shatteringly rare this coin is, you need to understand what a proof coin actually is, because proof coins are not made for circulation. They are specially manufactured using highly polished dies and specially prepared planchettes to create coins of mirror-like brilliance and extraordinary detail intended purely for collectors. And in 1975, the San Francisco Mint was responsible for producing the official proof set for collectors, and every coin in that proof set was supposed to bear the small letter S Mint mark, indicating it was produced at San Francisco. But something went catastrophically wrong at the San Francisco Mint, and through one of the most baffling and sensational errors in United States Mint history, a tiny number of 1975 proof dimes were struck using a die that was completely missing the S Mint mark in these coins. The 1975 no-S proof dimes were packaged into official proof sets and sent out to collectors before anyone at the Mint even realized the catastrophic mistake had been made. And the result of that stunning error is a coin of almost incomprehensible rarity, because it is currently believed that only 2 confirmed examples of the 1975 no-S proof Roosevelt dime exist in the entire world. And let that number sink in for just a moment, because we are not talking about a coin with a mintage of 10,000 or even 1,000. We are talking about a coin where the entire known population of surviving examples fits on the fingers of one hand with fingers to spare. And this makes the 1975 no-S proof dime not just rare, but extraordinarily, monumentally, and almost incomprehensibly rare, placing it in the absolute top tier of American numismatic rarities, alongside coins that collectors dream about for their entire lives. And the discovery of this coin sent absolute shockwaves through the numismatic community when it first came to light, because collectors who had been carefully examining their proof sets suddenly realized that some of those sets contained a dime worth not 10 cents, but a sum of money that would make your jaw drop to the floor. Because when it comes to auction results for the 1975 no-S proof Roosevelt dime, the numbers are absolutely breathtaking, and the most famous auction result for this coin came at a heritage auction sale, where an example of the 1975 no-S proof dime graded by PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading service as PR68. Cameo, sold for the staggering and truly eye-watering sum of $456,000. And that number is not a misprint, and it is not a mistake, because that is $456,000 for a coin that is physically 10 cents. And that auction result cemented the 1975 no-S-proof dime as one of the most valuable and coins in all of American numismatics. And it sent collectors scrambling to check their own proof sets in hopes of finding one of these incredible treasures hiding in their own collections. And the grading of this coin by services like PCGs and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, is absolutely critical to understanding its value. Because proof coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70, with 70 being a coin of absolutely perfect, flawless perfection, and the known examples of the 1975 no-S-proof dime have been graded in the upper ranges of this scale, reflecting the extraordinary care and precision with which proof coins are made. And a coin graded PR68 or PR69 by PCGS represents a specimen of almost supernatural beauty and technical perfection, and the cameo or deep cameo designation refers to the stunning contrast between the frosted raised design elements and the mirror-like fields of the coin, which gives proof coins the absolutely gorgeous and dramatic appearance that makes them so irresistible to serious collectors. And speaking of serious collectors, the question that everyone wants to know is, how on earth did this error happen in the first place? And the answer is one of those delicious new mysteries that makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating, because the working dies used to strike coins at the int are prepared through a multi-step process, and at some point during the preparation of the proof dies for the 1975 dime, the S mint mark was simply never punched into the die, and this happened without anyone noticing, and the arity was used to strike what is believed to have been a very small number of proof dimes before being caught or retired, and the coins that were struck from that era made their way into official proof sets that were sold to collectors through the United States Mint, and the collectors who purchased those sets had absolutely no idea that they were holding in their hands one of the rarest American coins of the 20th century. And this is one of the most thrilling and captivating aspects of coin collecting. The idea that an extraordinary treasure could be hiding in an ordinary proof set sitting in a drawer or a cabinet in your home, right now, because the 1975 proof sets were sold in large numbers, and the vast majority of them were purchased by ordinary collectors who simply wanted a beautiful set of coins for their collection, and most of those collectors would have had no reason to carefully examine each coin for the presence or absence of a tiny mint mark. And it is entirely possible that other examples of the 1985 no-S-proof dime exists in collections around the country or even around the world, waiting to be discovered by the sharp-eyed collector who knows what to look for, and that possibility adds an absolutely electric and thrilling dimension to the story of this coin, because it means that the search is still very much alive, and the person to find one of these incredible coins could be anyone in the history of the Roosevelt dime program itself is also deeply fascinating and worth exploring, because the decision to honor Franklin Roosevelt on the dime was made with extraordinary speed following his death on April 12, 1945. And the dime was chosen partly because of Roosevelt's close association with the March of Dimes organization, which was dedicated to fighting polio, the disease that had robbed Roosevelt of the use of his legs. And the design was created by chief engraver John R. Sinnock, whose initials JS appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck on the coin. And when the coin was first released in 1946, a conspiracy theory briefly circulated, claiming that the J initials stood for Joseph Stalin, the Soviet dictator, which was of course completely false and absurd, but it reflects the political tensions of the post-war era and adds another layer of fascinating historical color to the story of this iconic coin and the composition of the Roosevelt dime has changed dramatically over the decades, because the coins produced from 1946 through 1964 were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, making them genuinely valuable for their metal content alone. And today, those silver Roosevelt dimes from the pre-1965 era are eagerly sought by collectors and silver stackers alike. But in 1965, the United States government made the controversial and much lamented decision to remove silver from circulating coinage and replace it with a copper nickel-clad composition, and so the 1975 Roosevelt dimes, both the circulation strikes and the proof versions, were produced in this clad composition, consisting of a pure copper core with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. And while this makes them intrinsically less valuable than the silver coins of earlier years, it does nothing whatsoever to diminish the extraordinary numismatic value of an error coin as spectacular as the 1965 no-S-proof dime, because in the world of numismatics, it is rarity and historical significance that drive value far more than metal content. In the 1975 no-S-proof dime has both of these qualities in absolutely extraordinary measure, and for collectors who are interested in acquiring Roosevelt dimes from 1975 but cannot quite stretch to the price of a no-S-proof example, there are still genuinely exciting options to explore because the regular 1975 proof dimes from the San Francisco Mint, graded in high grades like PR69 or PR70 by PCGS or NGC, can command very respectable prices in the hundreds of dollars range, particularly in deep cameo condition, and the circulation strike examples from Philadelphia and Denver. In high mint state grades can also be surprisingly valuable because finding a 1975 Roosevelt dime in MS67 or MS68 condition is not nearly as easy as you might think, given the age of the coins and the handling they have received over nearly 5 decades, and Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have both recorded impressive sales of high-grade circulation. Strike 1975 Roosevelt dimes that would genuinely surprise you with their prices, and if you are a collector who is just beginning to explore the world of Roosevelt dimes, the 1975 issues represent a genuinely exciting entry point into the series, because they bookend a fascinating period in American coinage history, and the regular examples are accessible and affordable, while the no-S proof error represents the absolute pinnacle of desirability and rarity in the entire series. And for any collector who does happen to be searching through their old proof sets, our absolute recommendation is to take those 1975 proof sets and examine that dime under magnification, looking carefully at the area just to the left of the base of Roosevelt's portrait, because that is precisely where the S-Mint mark should appear. And if you look at your 1975 proof dime and that S-Mint mark is simply not there, then congratulations, because you may have just found yourself one of the rarest and most valuable coins in all of American numismatic history. And if you do find one, the very first thing you should do is carefully place that coin in a protective holder without touching the surfaces, and contact PCGS or NGC immediately for authentication and grading, because the difference between an authenticated, genuine 1975 no-S-proof dime and an altered coin with the mint mark removed is something that only the experts at these grading services are equipped to definitively determine, and the authentication process is absolutely critical before any coin like this goes anywhere near the auction block. And speaking of the auction block, the world of major numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers is where coins of this caliber truly come alive, because when a coin as rare and desirable as the 1975 no-S-proof dime comes up for sale, the numismatic world holds its collective breath, and the competition among serious collectors and investors for one of only 2 known examples is absolutely fierce, and the realized prices reflect that fierce competition in the most dramatic way possible. And this is why the story of the 1975 Roosevelt dime is so endlessly compelling and exciting, because it reminds us that treasure can hide in the most unexpected places, and that the 10-cent coin in your pocket or the old proof set gathering dust on your shelf could potentially be worth a fortune beyond your wildest imagination. And this is the magic and the thrill of coin collecting that keeps millions of people around the world searching, grading, buying, and selling coins with a passion that never dims. And if you found today's video as absolutely mind-blowing and exciting as we did then, please hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a single video, because we have so many more incredible stories from the world of numismatics coming your way. And drop a comment below telling us whether you have ever checked your 1975 proof sets for the no-S error, because we would love to hear your stories. And as always, happy hunting, and may your next coin find be the one that changes everything. When you think of pocket change, you probably imagine something ordinary, something almost invisible in your daily life. But what if I told you that a simple coin like the 1977 Roosevelt dime could secretly hold a story filled with history, mystery, collector obsession, and even surprising value that could shock you to your core? Because hidden behind its small silver-colored surface lies a fascinating journey tied to one of America's most iconic leaders, Franklin D. Roosevelt, a man whose legacy became immortalized not just in history books but in the very coins that millions of people handle every single day without a second thought. And yet, among those millions of coins, a few rare examples stand out like hidden treasures waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors and curious treasure hunters who understand that even the most common-looking coin can sometimes transform into something extraordinary, something valuable, something unforgettable. And today, we are diving deep into the unbelievable world of the 1977 Roosevelt dime, uncovering its history, its value, its rarity, and the jaw-dropping secrets that make collectors go absolutely crazy over certain versions of this coin. So stay with me, because what you are about to hear might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. Now let's go back in time to understand where it all began. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, honoring his legacy and especially his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign, which helped fight polio. And since then, this coin has remained one of the most recognizable and widely circulated coins in the United States. But by the time we reached 1977, something important had already changed. These dimes were no longer made of silver. Instead, they were composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, meaning that, unlike older dimes minted before 1965, the 1977 version does not contain intrinsic silver value. And this is exactly why so many people underestimate it, assuming it must be worthless. But here's where things start to get exciting, because in the world of coin collecting, value is not only about metal content, it is about rarity, condition, errors, and demand. And that is where the 1977 Roosevelt dime begins to reveal its hidden potential. At first glance, the 1977 dime might seem incredibly common. After all, millions were minted at facilities like the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with no mint mark indicating Philadelphia production and a small D marking coins from Denver. And yes, in circulated condition, these coins are usually only worth face value, just 10 cents, something you might casually spend without thinking twice. But here is the twist that collectors love. When you start looking at high-grade uncirculated examples, coins that were never used, never scratched, never worn down by time, their value can rise dramatically. And suddenly a coin that once seemed insignificant can become a prized collectible worth many dollars or even more depending on its condition and grading. But wait, it gets even more thrilling because the real excitement begins when we talk about mint errors, those rare and unexpected mistakes that occurred during the coin production process. Mistakes that transform ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles that can sell for shocking prices at auctions. Imagine finding a 1977 Roosevelt dime with a double die error, where the design appears slightly duplicated, creating a ghost-like effect that immediately catches the eye of experienced collectors. Or a coin struck off-center, where part of the design is missing and shifted to one side, making it look completely different from standard issues. These are the kinds of coins that can send collectors into a frenzy, driving auction prices higher and higher as people compete to own a piece of minting history that should never have existed in the first place. And speaking of auctions, this is where things can get truly jaw-dropping. While most 1977 dimes are only worth a few cents, certain high-grade specimens graded by professional services like MS65, MS66, or even higher, can sell for significant amounts, especially if they exhibit exceptional luster, sharp details, and flawless surfaces. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for perfection. And when you combine that with the historical significance of the Roosevelt dime series, the demand becomes even stronger, creating a market where the best examples rise far above the rest in value and desirability. Now, let's talk about collectors, because they are the heartbeat of this entire story. Coin collectors are not just people who gather coins. They are historians, detectives, and treasure hunters all rolled into one, constantly searching for that one rare piece that completes their collection or adds something unique to their portfolio. And for many of them, the thrill of finding a rare 1977 Roosevelt dime in circulation is like striking gold. It is a moment of pure excitement, a reminder that treasure can still be found in the most unexpected places, even in your pocket, your drawer, or that old jar of coins sitting forgotten in your home. And here comes the most shocking part, that many people never realize: there are still rare coins out there waiting to be discovered. Coins that have slipped through the cracks, coins that were never noticed for their unique features, coins that could potentially be worth far more than their face value. And the 1977 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that continues to surprise collectors with unexpected finds, proving that the world of numismatics is full of endless possibilities and hidden opportunities. So how can you tell if your 1977 dime is valuable? This is the question that sparks curiosity and excitement. First, you need to check the condition. Look for coins that appear shiny, clean, and free from scratches. These are more likely to have higher value. Then examine the details closely. Look for doubling in the letters or numbers. Check if the coin is off-center or has unusual markings. And most importantly, consider getting it professionally graded if you believe you have something special, because a certified grade can significantly increase its market value and make it more attractive to serious collectors. In the end, the story of the 1977 Roosevelt dime is a powerful reminder that value is not always obvious, that rarity can hide in plain sight, and that even the smallest objects can carry incredible stories and potential. So the next time you come across a simple dime, don't ignore it, don't underestimate it. Take a closer look, because you might just be holding a piece of history, a collector's dream, or even a hidden treasure. that could change everything. What if I told you that one of the most electrifying and dangerously underrated coins in all of American numismatics has been sitting right under your nose this entire time, and that the overwhelming majority of people in this country have touched this coin hundreds, if not thousands of times in their lives, and never once stopped to realize the explosive history, the breathtaking rarity, and the genuinely shocking collector value that can be hiding behind what looks like nothing more than a tiny ordinary 10-cent piece? Because today, we are going all the way deep and completely unleashing everything you absolutely must know about the 1980 Roosevelt dime, a coin that has been quietly driving serious collectors and seasoned numismatics into an absolute frenzy for decades. And if you stay with me through every single second of this video, I promise you that by the time we are done, you will never look at a dime the same way again. So let us start right at the very beginning and talk about the extraordinary and deeply emotional history behind the Roosevelt dime series itself, because you simply cannot appreciate the 1980 issue without first understanding the towering legacy of the man whose face graces this coin every single day. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was without question one of the most consequential and beloved leaders in the entire history of the United States of America, a man who guided a shattered and terrified nation through the absolute darkest depths of the Great Depression, when unemployment soared to catastrophic levels and millions of American families were desperate and starving, and then turned around and led that same nation through the most devastating and terrifying global conflict the world had ever witnessed in World War II. But beyond his political and military legacy, Roosevelt had a deeply personal and extraordinarily public battle with polio, the crippling and merciless disease that had attacked him in 1921 and left him paralyzed from the waist down, and it was his passionate and relentless championing of the March of Dimes charity organization that made the dime the most fitting and symbolically perfect denomination to carry his portrait forever. And when Roosevelt passed away on April 20, 1945, the entire nation was plunged into a grief so profound and so overwhelming that the United States Mint moved with breathtaking speed to honor him. And by January 16, 1946, less than a full year after his death, the very first Roosevelt dimes were rolling off the presses and into the hands of a mourning, but grateful, an American public. The design itself was created by the enormously talented chief engraver of the United States Mint, John Arsenic, a man of extraordinary artistic skill whose sharp and dignified left-facing portrait of FDR on the obverse of the coin remains one of the most recognizable and beloved coin portraits in the entire history of American coinage. And if you look very carefully at the base of Roosevelt's neck on your 1980 dime, you will spot the tiny initials JS. And those two small letters are the permanent signature of Sinek's genius that has lived on every Roosevelt dime ever struck. The reverse of the coin is equally magnificent, featuring a boldly struck torch at the center of the design, representing the eternal flame of liberty, flanked on the left by an olive branch, symbolizing peace, and on the right by an oak branch, representing strength and national unity, and the inscriptions United States of America. And one dime framed this gorgeous design in a way that has stood the test of time through more than 7 decades of continuous production. Now, let us talk about the year 1980 itself, because this was no ordinary year in American history, and the coins struck in 1980 carry with them the invisible fingerprints of one of the most turbulent and economically terrifying periods the United States had experienced since the Great Depression itself. Inflation in 1980 had reached absolutely savage levels, with the consumer price index showing inflation rates that were devastating ordinary American families. The prime interest rate had skyrocketed to unimaginable heights. The nation was gripped by an energy crisis, and the mood across the country was one of profound anxiety and uncertainty. And yet, through all of that economic chaos, the United States Mint kept its presses running at full throttle and struck a truly staggering number of Roosevelt dimes that year across its 3 operating facilities. The Philadelphia Mint, which beginning in 1980 started striking coins with no mint mark, produced an almost incomprehensibly massive mintage of 735,670,000 dimes, making 1980p one of the highest production years in the entire modern history of the Roosevelt dime series. The Denver Mint was equally ferocious in its output, striking 719,314,420 dimes, bearing the distinctive D Mint mark on the obverse. And when you add these two figures together, you are looking at well over 1.5 billion dimes produced in a single year at just 2 facilities alone, which is an absolutely mind-melting number that speaks to just how voraciously the American economy consumed coinage even during those difficult times. But then, there is the San Francisco Mint, and this is where everything changes completely and dramatically, because San Francisco in 1980 was not producing coins for circulation at all. Instead, it was devoted entirely to the production of stunning collector-quality proof coins, destined for the annual proof sets sold directly to collectors and numismatists across the country. And the 90s Roosevelt dime proof is a coin of almost heartbreaking beauty, struck multiple times with specially polished dies onto carefully prepared planchettes to produce that stunning cameo. Contrast between the deeply frosted and sculptural devices and the glass-like mirror fields that make proof coins the absolute crown jewels of any serious collection, and the San Francisco Mint struck just over 3,090,000 of these magnificent proof pieces in 1980, making them dramatically scarcer than their Philadelphia and Denver counterparts, and it is the 1980 S-proof coin graded at the absolute summit of the Sheldon numerical scale at PR70 Deep Cameo by either PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, the two most trusted and respected third-party grading authorities in the entire global coin collecting hobby that truly sends experienced collectors into a state of complete and total excitement. Because a PR70 Deep Cameo coin is by definition a coin of absolute and utter perfection. Not a single contact mark, not a single hairline scratch, not a single weakness in strike. Just a flawless and magnificent example of the coin maker's art, frozen in time, and certified examples of the 1980 S. Roosevelt dime in PR70 Deep Cameo have appeared at auction through the legendary sale rooms of Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, fetching prices that would genuinely astonish anyone who still thinks of this coin as just 10 cents, and the competitive fire among registry set collectors, chasing the absolute finest known examples of every date and mint mark in the Roosevelt dime series means that top-graded pieces can trade at extraordinary premiums that bear almost no relationship to their modest face value. Now, we absolutely cannot talk about the 1980 Roosevelt dime without diving headfirst into the world of air coins, because this is where things get truly explosive and where the most jaw-dropping and spectacular discoveries are made by lucky and observant collectors, the United States Mint in 1980 was processing billions of coins, and with that kind of industrial-scale production, the inevitability of errors creeping through quality control becomes a statistical certainty, and the errors that have been documented on 1980 Roosevelt dimes run the full and breathtaking spectrum of numismatic excitement. One of the most visually dramatic and collectible error types found on 1980 dimes is the die cap error, where a coin becomes stuck to the die, and the next planchette is struck against it, producing a deeply distorted and utterly bizarre-looking piece that barely resembles a coin at all. And these die cap errors are so spectacular and so rare that they command serious four-figure premiums. Among advanced error coin collectors, another devastating and highly sought error variety involves dramatic die cracks and die cuts, where actual fragments of the hardened steelwork and die break or weigh under the incredible pressures of the striking process and leave raised irregular blobs of metal on the surface of struck coins that make them instantly and obviously distinguishable from normal pieces. And a significant die-cut error on a 1980 Roosevelt dime is the kind of find that stops a coin show dead in its tracks and creates a crowd of envious and excited collectors around whoever is lucky enough to be holding it. But perhaps the single most thrilling and accessible error type that any collector has a realistic chance of finding in the wild is the off strike, where the planchette is fed into the striking collar in the wrong position, and the coin is struck with the design dramatically shifted away from its proper centered location, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck planchette metal visible on one side of the coin, and on the other side, a design that runs right off the edge. And when the percentage of off-centered shift is significant, say 25% or more, the value of such an error coin escalates dramatically with 50% off-center strikes, where the date is still visible, being among the most coveted and explosively valuable of all off-center error coins. In the entire Roosevelt dime series, grading is the absolute foundation upon which all coin values are built. In understanding the Sheldon numerical scale from poor 1 at the bottom all the way up to the perfect mint state 70 at the very top is essential knowledge for anyone serious about understanding what their 1980 Roosevelt dime is truly worth. In today's market, a well-circulated example from Pocket Change will typically grade somewhere between fine 12 and extremely fine 45, depending on how much detail remains on the design. And for the Roosevelt dime, specifically the single Most important grading detail to examine on any mint state example is the horizontal bands on the torch. On the reverse of the coin, those bands which cross the torch at its midpoint must be fully and completely separated with no weakness or merging at any point to earn the coveted and tremendously value-boosting full bands designation from PCGS or NGC, and the difference in value between a 19 Roosevelt dime graded MS65 and the same coin graded MS65 full bands can be shockingly large because full bands coins are genuinely scarce, even in lower mint state grades and in the highest mint state grades of MS67 and MS68. Full bands certified examples of the 1980s P and 1980s D Roosevelt dime are rare enough to be considered condition rarities that serious registry set collectors will pay breathtaking premiums to acquire. Hey, here is your action plan and your homework assignment that could genuinely pay off in a very exciting way. Go right now and check every single dime you own, every coin jar, every old drawer, every forgotten piggy bank, and every mint set or proof set you might have tucked away somewhere because the 1988 Roosevelt dime, in all its forms from the high mintage Philadelphia and Denver business strike coins, the exquisite San Francisco proof pieces to the explosive and heart-stopping error. Rarest is a coin that rewards careful attention and informed eyes, and the collectors and dealers and auction houses of the world have made it absolutely crystal clear that the finest and most exceptional examples of this coin are worth pursuing with passion and commitment. If you learned something genuinely new and exciting in this video and you want us to keep bringing you these incredible deep dives into the hidden treasures and shocking secrets of American coinage, then please hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you ring that notification bell so that you are always the first to know when we drop a brand new video, because every single week we are uncovering the fascinating stories and the electrifying values that are hiding behind the coins. Most people never give a second glance, and you absolutely do not want to miss a single one. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Get ready to uncover one of the most shocking and surprisingly overlooked treasures in the world of coin collecting, because today we are diving deep into the mysterious, fascinating, and potentially valuable world of the 1981 Roosevelt dime, a coin that most people ignore, toss into jars, or spend without a second thought, yet hidden within this tiny silver-colored piece of history could be a story of rarity, value, and collector obsession that might completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The 1981 Roosevelt dime may seem ordinary at first glance, but as we peel back the layers of history, minting details, errors, auction records, and collector demand, you will discover secrets that could turn a simple 10-cent coin into a highly sought-after collectible worth far more than its face value, and possibly even hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on its condition, rarity, and unique characteristics. So stay with me, because what you are about to hear might just inspire you to check every dime you own with a newfound excitement and curiosity. The story of the Roosevelt dime begins long before 1981, going all the way back to 1946, when the coin was first introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a beloved leader who guided the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, who was also closely associated with the March of Dimes campaign which fought against polio. This connection made the dime the perfect tribute, and since then the Roosevelt dime has remained a staple of American coinage. But by 1981, the coin had already undergone a major transformation that many people overlook, because earlier dimes minted before 1965 were made primarily of silver. But due to rising silver prices, the composition changed to a copper-nickel clad structure, meaning that by 1981, your dime no longer contained precious silver. Yet this does not mean it lacks value. In fact, the absence of silver makes high-grade examples and rare mint errors even more exciting to collectors, because they represent a different kind of rarity, one that depends on condition, scarcity, and unique production flaws rather than metal content alone. Now, let us zoom in on the 19 Roosevelt dime itself, which was minted in 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each mint leaving its own mark, or in the case of Philadelphia in 1981, no mint mark at all, since that was standard practice at the time. Coins from Denver carry a small d mint mark, while San Francisco coins often bear an S and are usually proof coins specially struck for collectors using polished dies and planchettes. These proof coins are known for their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, making them highly desirable, especially in perfect condition. But even within these categories, not all 1981 dimes are created equal, because the true excitement begins when we talk about condition and grading in the coin collecting world. Condition is everything. A circulated dime that has spent decades passing through countless hands might only be worth its face value, but a pristine, uncirculated example graded MS65, MS67 or higher can command significantly higher prices, And when you reach the ultra-rare top grades like MS68 or beyond, the value can skyrocket dramatically because very few coins survive in such flawless condition due to the nature of mass production and handling. And this is where the thrill begins, because finding such a coin in everyday circulation is extremely unlikely, but not impossible, which is exactly why collectors remain obsessed with searching rolls of coins, hoping to discover that one perfect specimen that has somehow escaped wear and tear for decades. And if that was not exciting enough, we now enter the realm of mint errors, which is where the 1981 Roosevelt dime truly transforms from an ordinary coin into a potential jackpot. Errors can occur during the minting process in many different ways, including double strikes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even missing elements. And these errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin because they are unique and often rare. For example, a 1981 dime with a clear double die error where the design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process can attract serious attention from collectors and fetch impressive prices at auction. Similarly, an off-center strike where the design is not properly aligned can make a coin visually striking and highly desirable, especially if the date is still visible. And speaking of auctions, this is where the real proof of value comes into play, because coins are ultimately worth what collectors are willing to pay. And over the years, high-grade and error 1981 Roosevelt dimes have appeared in auctions, sometimes achieving prices that far exceed expectations, especially when two or more collectors compete for a rare piece, driving the price higher and higher in a bidding frenzy that reflects both the rarity of the coin and the passion of the collectors involved. And while most 1981 dimes will never reach such heights, the possibility is always there, and that possibility is what keeps the hobby alive and thrilling. Now let us talk about the San Francisco proof dimes of 1981, which deserve special attention, because these coins were not intended for circulation, but rather for collectors, and as such, they were struck with exceptional care, resulting in coins that often feature deep cameo contrast, where the raised design appears frosted against a mirrored background. These deep cameos proofs are particularly valuable when preserved in perfect condition and graded PR69 or PR70, which represents near perfection or absolute perfection respectively. And while PR70 coins are extremely rare due to the slightest imperfections that can occur even in controlled minting environments, they are the ultimate prize for collectors seeking the best of the best. And when such a coin appears on the market, it can command a premium price that reflects its elite status among collectibles. But rarity is not just about condition or errors, it is also about survival and demand, because millions of 1981 dimes were minted, yet only a tiny fraction remain in top condition or possess unique characteristics that set them apart. And as time passes, more coins are lost, damaged, or worn down further, reducing the number of high-quality examples available to collectors, which in turn can increase their value over time, especially as new generations of collectors enter the hobby and begin searching for coins from specific years or sets, adding another layer of demand that can influence market trends and prices. And this brings us to the collectors themselves, the passionate individuals who dedicate time, effort, and resources to building their collections, studying coins, and chasing rare finds. These collectors range from beginners searching through pocket change to seasoned experts investing in high-grade certified coins and attending auctions where rare pieces are bought and sold for impressive sums. And within this community, the 1981 Roosevelt dime holds a unique place. Because it represents both accessibility and potential, it is a coin that anyone can find, yet one that still offers the thrill of discovery and the accountability of uncovering something truly valuable. And this dual nature makes it particularly appealing, especially for those just starting their journey into coin collecting, because it proves that you do not need to spend a fortune to participate in the hobby. You simply need curiosity, patience, and a keen eye for detail. Now let us imagine the excitement of finding a 1981 dime in your change and noticing something unusual. Perhaps a design looks slightly doubled, or the coin appears unusually sharp and well preserved. This moment of discovery can be electrifying because it opens the door to further investigation and the possibility that you might be holding something rare and valuable. And this is why so many collectors emphasize the importance of examining coins closely, using magnification tools and comparing them to known examples, because small details can make a huge difference in determining value and authenticity. And once a potentially valuable coin is identified, the next step is often to have it graded by a professional grading service, which can provide an official assessment of its condition and authenticity, adding credibility and often increasing its market value. And from there, the coin can be sold through various channels, including online marketplaces, coin shops, or auctions, where it may attract the attention of Collectors willing to pay a premium for the right piece. And speaking of selling, it is important to understand that timing and presentation can also influence the final price, because a well-photographed coin with clear details and proper documentation is more likely to attract serious buyers and competitive bids, especially in online auctions, where visual appeal plays a significant role in capturing attention and creating excitement among potential buyers. And as we continue to explore the world of the 1981 Roosevelt dime, it becomes clear that this small coin is far more than just spare change. It is a gateway into a fascinating hobby filled with history, mystery, and opportunity. A reminder that value can be hidden in the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the biggest surprises. So the next time you receive change, do not dismiss those dimes. To quickly take a closer look, examine the details, and consider the possibility that one of them might just be a rare and valuable piece waiting to be discovered, because, in the world of coin collecting, every coin has a story, and the 1981 Roosevelt dime is no exception. It is a story of transformation from everyday currency to collectible treasure, of hidden rarity and untapped potential, and of the enduring appeal of a hobby that continues to captivate and inspire people around the world.